Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this halter neck top. So this top is the very definition of cool and casual, and this top is a bit cropped, so if you want a full length top you're going to have to increase the number of your foundation chain. And please, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, believe me it helps, and please subscribe to my channel and please leave a comment, and let's get into it. There's a written pattern to go with this video from sizes extra small to 3 extra large. The link will be in the description box. As for tools, you're going to need a #1 fingering weight yarn, 4.5 and 4mm crochet hooks, measuring tape, and a pair of scissors. With our 4.5mm crochet hook, we're going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to make a chain of 50. Once you got 50 chained up, we're going to make an extra chain, which is our 10-inch chain, so chain 1. And then we're going to flip our chain, and into the second chain's back bump, we're going to work 1 slip stitch. So into the back bump, insert your hook, and then pull through everything. So onto the next back bump, insert your hook and make a slip stitch. So we're going to be working in the back bumps of the chains. So when we get to the end, we're going to be working an extra slip stitch in the back bump of the last chain. So we're going to be making an increase of 1 stitch. So in the last chain, work an extra slip stitch. So to begin row 2, chain 2, we're going to be working an increase for this row 2. So chain 2, turn your work. Into the second chain, we're going to insert a hook and work 1 slip stitch. So this is our increase. And then into the next stitch, which is a slip stitch from the previous row, we're going to insert a hook into the back loop and work 1 slip stitch. So into the back loop, work 1 slip stitch. So continue and work your way across, put in 1 back loop slip stitch in every single stitch, and I'll meet you guys back when we get to the end of the row for the next step. So we're almost at the end of row 2. So just continue putting 1 back loop slip stitch in the entire stitch. Stitches. So into the last slip stitch, work 1 back loop slip stitch. So this is the end of row 2. So to begin row 3, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. And then into the next stitch, put 1 back loop slip stitch. Into the next, put 1 back loop slip stitch. So we're going to continue putting 1 back loop slip stitch in the entire stitches. And then when we get to the last stitch, I'll meet you guys back so we can work our increase. So we're almost at the end of row 3. So into the last stitch we're going to be working 2 back loop slip stitches. So you've worked one, then work the second one. So we're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 for row 4 to row 45, and I'll meet you guys back. So we're almost at the end of row 45. Into the last stitch we're going to be working 2 back loop slip stitches, 1 and then work the second. So this is the end of row 45. So to begin row 46, chain 1, then turn a work. Into the next stitch we're going to be working 1 back loop slip stitch. So work 1 back loop slip stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our stitch marker and insert it into the stitch you just worked now. So insert your stitch marker into the stitch you just worked. So we are going to continue and work our way across the entire row, putting one back loop slip stitch in every single stitch. So we're at the end of row 46. Okay, so we're going to repeat row 46 for row 47 to row 60, and I'll meet you guys back. Okay, I'm at the end of row 60, so the next step would be to grab our stitch marker and then insert it into the first stitch that we worked for this row. So insert your stitch marker into the first stitch of the 60th row. Okay, so insert your hook into the loop, live loop, and then chain 1, turn your work, then into the next stitch. We're going to be working one back loop slip stitch. Then into the next stitch, work another back loop slip stitch. So we're going to continue and work our way across, and I'll meet you guys back when we have just 2 stitches remaining unworked, so we can work our decrease. So I have just 2 stitches remaining unworked, so into the next stitches back loop, insert your hook, then into the back loop of the stitch after that, insert your hook. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over, pull through everything. So this is the end of row 61. So to begin row 62, chain 1, and then turn our work. And we're going to be working the decrease here too. So insert your hook into the first stitch's back loop, and then into the back loop of the stitch after that. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over, pull through everything. So we're going to go on to the next stitch and then put one back loop slip stitch. So we're going to continue putting one back loop slip stitch in every single stitch for the entire row, and then we're going to repeat row 61 and row 62 for row 63 to row 105. So I'm almost at the end of row 105, so remember to work our decrease when you get to the last 2 stitches. Okay, so we're at the end, but don't cut your yarn just yet. Chain 1, and then into this same stitch, the last stitch that you just worked, make 1 single crochet. And then we're going to be working a single crochet edging. So onto the next row, work 1 single crochet. Then onto the next one, this should be, I think, the valley. Then work another single crochet. but then we're not going to do this. As you can see, it creates a hole, and we don't want that hole. We want it to be clean and tight. So what I do is I use a smaller hook, so just chain one, insert your hook into the stitch that you just worked and make one single crochet. And then what I do to avoid making a hole is to grab a smaller hook. This is a 2.75mm crochet hook. So I use the smaller hook to help me pick up stitches. So I'm supposed to pick up a stitch for this row, which is kind of like a ridge. So insert your hook and pull up a loop, and then loop it onto the hook and make a single crochet. And then we're going to be picking up stitches from this row that's like a valley, and then please make sure to go in through 2 loops so it's tight and doesn't create a hole. Pull up a loop and then loop it onto the hook and make a single crochet. So onto the next row, which is this ridge, insert your hook with the smaller hook, pull up a loop, loop it onto the hook that you're working with, and then make a single crochet. So we're going to be working, so as you can see, it doesn't create any holes, so it's tight. And we're going to be working into the next row, which is kind of like a valley. So as you can see, I maneuver my hook to go in through 2 loops that are tight. So yarn over, pull up a loop, loop it onto the hook that you're working with, and then make a single crochet. So basically this is what I do. But if you're okay with having holes, you can work with the bigger hook, but then I like picking up stitches with the smaller hook because I don't create a hole in my work. So you can do whichever works best for you. So as you can see, I'm still picking up stitches with the smaller hook. So now I'm at the stitch that has the stitch marker in, so we're going to remove the stitch marker. And then we're going to work a single crochet into that stitch, that is the stitch that had the stitch marker in. Then into the same stitch we're going to work another single crochet. So we worked 2 single crochets in the stitch that has the stitch marker. And then you're going to grab the stitch marker and insert it into the stitch that you just worked. That's the last stitch that you worked. So we're going to continue as usual, picking up stitches. So into the next row, which is this valley like, and then pick up, loop it onto your hook and make one single crochet. So just continue, and I'll meet you guys when we get to the stitch with the stitch marker. So almost okay at the stitch before the stitch with the stitch marker, going through 2 loops, pull up a loop, loop it onto the hook you're working with, and make a single crochet. So we're going to remove the stitch marker, and then we're going to work 1 single crochet into this stitch. So pull up a loop, then loop it onto your hook and work 1 single crochet. Then grab your stitch marker and insert it into this stitch that you just worked now. And then still into the stitch that you worked previously, work another single crochet. So we're going to work 2 single crochets for the stitches that had the stitch marker. So just continue picking up stitches, pull up a loop, loop it onto your hook, and then make a single crochet. So continue and work your way across, and when you get to the end, don't cut your yarn, just wait for the next step. With our 4mm crochet hook, chain 7, then turn our work into the second chain's back bump, work 1 slip stitch, into the next back bump, work another slip stitch, the next one, work another slip stitch, to the next one, work another slip stitch. So you should have 4 slip stitches. For the remaining 2 chains, we're going to be working single crochets instead. So into the next back bump, work 1 single crochet. To the next, work another single crochet. Then we're going to attach this to the next single crochet from the edging that we worked. So attach this with a slip stitch, and then to work up to the next row, attach with another slip stitch. Then turn our work, and we're going to skip the last 2 slip stitches that we worked to attach, and then go on to the single crochets from the previous row and work a back loop single crochet in the first single crochet. Then onto the next single crochet, work another back loop single crochet. So we should have the slip stitches remaining, so we're going to be putting 1 back loop slip stitch for every single slip stitch. So this is the end of row 2. To begin row 3, chain 1, turn our work, and then we're going to be putting a back loop slip stitches in the 4 slip stitches from the previous row. And then when we get to the single crochets, we're going to be putting single crochets in the back loop of the 2 single crochets. So we should have 6 stitches in total. So into the last single crochet, work a back loop single crochet. Next, attach to the next single crochet with a slip stitch, and then to work up to the next row, attach with another slip stitch. So we're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 for row 4 to row 12, and I'll meet you guys back. So I'm just starting row 12. So I'm at the end of row 12. So to begin row 13, chain 1. And then we're going to be putting back loop single crochets this time around. So we're not going to be working slip stitches any longer. We're going to be working back loop single crochets, So into the first stitch, insert your hook and work 1 back loop single crochet. Then to the next one, work another back loop single crochet. So next up, attach with a slip stitch, so basically we're going to be doing what we were doing, but this time around with just single crochets, and then we're going to continue. So repeat the last 2 rows for the entire thing, and then also work for the stitch that has the stitch marker in. Then when you work for that stitch, just chain 1 and cut your yarn, and then attach your yarn onto the other side and repeat the same thing that we did for the side. So I said to come back and show you guys what I did. So attach with a slip stitch, then to work on to the next row, which is the row that has the stitch marker in. So remove the stitch marker and then slip stitch onto that stitch. Then turn your work and work back loop single crochets for the entire row. And we're at the end. Next up, chain 1 and cut your yarn. Panel, so to seam, we're going to make sure that the wrong side is inside. So this is going to be the wrong side of this panel, so it's in. And then this, for this panel, this is going to be the wrong side, so the wrong side should be facing each other. So this is going to be the front, this is going to be the back. So make sure that the wrong sides are facing each other, and then sandwich it on top of each other, and then we're going to seam the two sides together. So insert your hook into the corner stitch of the both panels, and then make a slip and then pull tight, then pull, and then chain 1 to secure it. So to seam, we're going to be working outside loop slip stitches. So to work up for the next one, we're going to insert our hook into the front loop of the panel facing us, and then into the back loop of the panel at the back, and then make a slip stitch. Okay, so into the front loop of the panel facing us, and then into the back loop of the panel at the back, and then make another slip stitch. So insert your hook into the front loop of the panel facing us, and then the back loop of the panel at the back, and then make a slip stitch. So last time, insert your hook into the front loop of the panel facing us, then into the back loop of the panel at the back, and then make a slip stitch. So we're going to continue, and when we get to this point, I'll meet you guys back to show you how to work it. So next up, do this single crochet from that we, so insert your hook, and then the one for the back panel, insert your hook, and then make a slip stitch. To work for the next one, we're going to remove this hook, and then with this hook, insert your hook, and then into the front loop of this panel, and then into the back loop of the one at the back, and then make a single crochet. Then into the next one, insert your hook into the, okay, just getting hard to work into, then into the back of the one at the back, and then make a single crochet. So continue for the rest. So I just finished up working for the entire row, so next will be chain 1, and then so that's it. So can you see this is the seam that we just worked? So we're going to go on over and then repeat the same thing to join this panel. I'll meet you guys back. At this point, you need to find out where you want to be the front. So this is going to be the back of my top, this is going to be the front. So insert your hook into the corner stitch, go in from back to front like this, and then your slip knot, and then you're going to pull this through and then chain 1 to secure it. Okay, chain 1. So we're going to be making a chain of 20. So 1, 2, 4. So I continue again. So now I've got 20 chained up, so I'm going to flip this and then into the back bump of the second chain from my hook, insert the hook and make a slip stitch. So you guys already know what to do, so into the next one, make a slip stitch. So guys, we'll continue putting one slip stitch for the entire row. So to attach it to the single crochet in which we attached our yarn. I know this is not the normal crochet stuff to do, but just do it. Just do it. And then to work up to the next row, slip stitch up to the next single crochet, and then turn our work. And we're going to be putting one back loop slip stitch in the slip stitches from the previous row. So we're going to repeat what we did for the side detail, except this time around with just slip stitches. And I'll meet you guys back to attach row 7. So attach row 7 to the single crochet that had the stitch marker in when we worked for the single crochet side detail. Sorry, I forgot to tell you guys not to remove the stitch marker. So attach row 7 to the single crochet that had the stitch marker in from when we worked the side detail, and then slip stitch up to the next single crochet for the top part that we didn't work anything into. Turn your work and continue, and work your way across, remembering to work into the single crochet that had the stitch marker in for this side. So this is row 27. So attach row 27 to the last single crochet available. So we should just have one more single crochet remaining. So attach row 27 to that single crochet. So at this point, we've exhausted all the single crochet stitches to work into. So to start row 28, chain 1, turn your work, and then we're going to just continue putting one back loop slip stitch in every single slip stitch from the previous row. So we're going to repeat row 28 for row 29 to row 61, and I'll meet you guys back. So I'm at the end of row 61, so we're going to attach this row, we're going to slip stitch to the first corner single crochet from the other panel, attach with a slip stitch, and just turn your work. To start row 62, put one back loop slip stitch in every single stitch from row 61. So we're going to continue working the way we worked for the other side, remembering to always work for single crochet that had the stitch marker in from when we worked the side detail. So just continue putting back loop slip stitches back and forth and attaching to the single crochet stitches. Just remember to work into the single crochet that had the stitch marker in from when we worked the side detail. So attach this row, which is row 63, and slip stitch up to the next single crochet, turn your work and work your way back up. So by the end of row 89, you must have run out of single crochet stitches to slip stitch into. Just chain 1, turn your work, and put 1 slip stitch in each of the 19 stitches. 1 back loop slip stitch in each of the 19 stitches, and continue and work your way up and work your way back down. So we're going to go back and forth like this for row 90 to row 122. So the next step would be to join the two ends together, and we're going to be attaching using outside loop slip stitches. So insert your hook into the corner stitch of the panel at the back, then yarn over and pull through every loop on your hook. And then we're going to begin working outside loop slip stitches. So insert your hook into the front loop of the panel facing you. And then into the back loop of the panel at the back and work a slip stitch. So continue and work your way across, and when you get to the end, when you've exhausted all the stitches, fasten off. Thank you for making it this far. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.